Hey folks, it's Dave Specter with another episode of Blues and Beyond, and we're here in Evanston, Illinois, outside of Chicago, and very pleased to have Anders Osborne with us, man.
Hey Dave, nice to meet you.
Right on, great to have you here. You were here with your own band about a month ago, and tonight you're here with Stanton Moore.
Yeah.
You tour with Stanton pretty regularly?
Yeah, we made the record, American Patchwork, he was co-producing with me.
Okay.
And the first tour kicking it off was me and Stanton. It was basically, he has a band called Stanton Moore Trio,
Right.
outside Galactic,
Right.
and Garage à Trois, which is another thing he does.
Right.
So the records were released within a couple of weeks of each other. So we thought, well, maybe we just make a bunch of double bills and travel around the country, and that way we also get to play together, since we kind of created the record together.
Oh, interesting.
So we've done maybe a total of 2 months now, close to, together. Not on this tour, but total from May, and we got 1 more month together. So we're trying to basically cover the whole nation with the trio and me. So he gets to do one set, then they bring me up, and I'll do my stuff, second set.
Cool. Are you guys touring in Europe as well?
Nope, it's not in the plans right now. Maybe next summer. It's one of those things where it'll be good, but everything has to be just right before I just jump over there. I used to go over there a lot more frequently.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It's one of those things where...
And you're from there? You're from
I was
Sweden?
born in Sweden, grew up in New Orleans, yeah.
Right. What age did you move to the States?
My very early teens.
Okay. Were you playing guitar back in Europe?
I played drums, actually, and wrote songs. I had an acoustic guitar and wrote, but I guess I had jammed a little bit to Al Di Meola and Pat McLaughlin, a little bit like that. Advantage and Cruising.
Oh, man.
Little Miles Davis, trying to pick out those things. But otherwise, it was mainly just singer-songwriter stuff that I was into.
And you moved to New Orleans as a teenager. What were some of your what were the things that first hit you about New Orleans music?
The freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely playing for the sake of playing.
Yeah.
Not so much because even at a young age, I could tell right away that this was a moment that's happening right now. There's nothing happening later. We're not putting on a concert for some kind of reason. We're playing music. We're playing music.
Yeah.
They get together, they play, they make money, go to a bar.
Yeah.
That's kind of the main thing, that it was a very in-the-moment situation happening. And therefore you played full on. I mean, you played, with everything you had.
Were there specific New Orleans guitar players that were big influences that maybe took you under their wings? I mean,
Snooks Eaglin, definitely.
Snooks, I was going to bring him up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've written a few songs there that I'm envisioning that I am Snooks. I'm playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, was he incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And even Earl King, my first show at Tipitina's was opening for Earl. I was 19, and it was great. And there was kind of that very interesting style too. Very thin sounding strat going on, and the way they hit with the fingers.
Yeah.
Very same as Snooks. I don't know, really, just unique approach to everything.
Gatemouth's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Too,
All three of them. You're actually right.
Yeah.
You're actually right.
Did people talk a lot about Guitar Slim?
Oh yeah, he's part of the conversation, especially with the generation of George Porter and those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like the New Orleans. I mean, I'm a Chicago blues man. This is where I'm based.
Yeah.
And when I go to New Orleans and I listen to New Orleans guitar and just the sound of the music, the rhythmic percussiveness is so much more different and heavier, and
it's very heavy right arm.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
it's a percussive style.
Right. Speaking of George Porter, one of the projects you're involved with that I wanted to ask you about is the Voices of the Wetlands All-Stars, which is really fascinating and obviously a great cause. Could you tell us a bit about that, please?
It's Tab Benoit, who started it. He's working with Save the Wetlands about 10 years ago, I guess. Was it that long? Something like that. They started really actively be involved, and they thought, why don't we like put together some kind of all-star band that can bring awareness to us taking care of the wetlands, making sure people know that we have to save these wetlands in order to save New Orleans, basically. Because when we are regulating the river, we're also stopping the flow of natural sediment to rebuild wetlands, which is like land mass. So whereas when they built New Orleans or settled in New Orleans, it was about 90 plus miles from the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's about 50 miles less. So we're looking at a little over 40, almost not even 50 miles. That's how much land we've lost because of the regulation of the fresh water. And the fresh water brings all this nutrients and sediment and dirt into the salt water, and then they mix, and then you create these wetlands. And they go out and they literally in 10 years you'll have like a whole strip where you can have a tree growing. It goes really fast, and that stops the tidal waves and the speed of the hurricanes. So hence why we really need these. Plus it's the feed for all the shrimp, all the flies and the bug, and the birds, and I mean it's a whole ecosystem that's vital to United States actually.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's what it is, and it's Dr. John, it's Cyril Neville, it's George Porter, Johnny Vodakovich on drums, or Stanton Moore. We have Alan Toussaint from time to time.
Wow. I'm sorry, Johnny Sansone? Something?
Johnny Sansone's in there. Exactly. Plays harp and sings a lot of stuff there. And then we have Big Chief Monk Boudreaux from the Golden Eagles. Waylon Thibodeau. So it's a spectrum of everybody. And then me and Tab,
Yeah, sounds like quite a band.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Cool. And you guys have recorded a couple albums?
We've had 2 sessions, We recorded two records.
Cool. Now, in a session like that with such an amazing all-star lineup, who kind of, is there a leader? Is it just a total collaboration?
Not really. I mean, there's a sense of seniority, for sure. Matt comes in, Dr. John comes in, and we make sure we listen. If Alan comes in, then we all listen to Alan. When he came in, you have Cyril and George. They call him yes sir, yes sir. But otherwise, there's really no leader. Tab put it together. It's his baby. But it's absolute democracy, actually. We all pitch in and we talk and we throw songs in the bag and figure out what to do. We write songs together for the sessions.
It must be amazing being in the studio with someone like Alan Toussaint.
It's pretty great.
The stuff he's produced and written and recorded.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. It's great.
Speaking of albums, American Patchwork, some pretty amazing sounds, guitar sounds I wanted to talk about. And I've seen you live, and I've seen you play through the Super and the Marshall, and mostly playing your Strat, playing some slide. Any special things you did in the studio on this record with your amps, with your guitars?
Well, what I like to do for a lot of the tracks is to line up, like if I do a tracking thing, I use maybe a Marshall, a Plexi, or an 800 or something, with a 412. And then I write together with my concert, the 64 concert usually is very nice and warm, a Fender. And then maybe I have a Silvertone, just one of those Sears little simple things. It's beautiful, tremolo. Maybe a
little small one?
A little small, I think it's 8 watt or something, 12 watt, real little. I got maybe a couple more amps like that. Maybe a Vox, I like AC30 and stuff like that. I throw those in. I try to combine as many as I can, and I line them up just side by side like this. And then you mic all of it. If I have room, I get somewhere between 5 and 7 amps usually that I string together. And then you mic all of those, they all go down, and then you have 2, 3 different room mics. Maybe a stereo, maybe different positions and stuff. And then you work with natural reverbs and effects and stuff. I used the octave pedal a lot to create, especially when I overdubbed and doubled parts when I went in later on. I would double that to do these musical lines to get a little symphonic. I wanted to create sort of a symphonic feel with slide parts.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, it just created a little deeper dimension to it, I thought. So
Definitely
I used that
worked,
a lot.
Yeah. Cool. And your slide playing, you mostly playing the standard tuning?
Actually, open D.
Open D.
Yeah. It's D, A, D, F sharp, A, D.
Yeah. Use a metal or a glass slide?
I use glass, metal, and actually porcelain. I've had a few handmade ones that I really like, and that gives me a little bit of both. It's warm. The glass stuff, I like Italian bottles, believe it or not. They're really wine bottles, and you cut those off. They have a really nice dark sustain. They're really warm. It doesn't hit when you hit it. It doesn't open up right away. It takes a little while.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Italian wine?
Yeah.
Grappa?
No. That's why it has to be that dark. I think it's the way they blow the glass.
Yeah.
But grappa, no, that's what you drink before you play.
That's the secret.
If you're a drinker. Yeah.
Cool. And who are some of your main slide favorites?
Well, it started out, of course, with Robert Johnson. It was kind of when I had learned open D tuning to learn this Joni Mitchell tune, actually. And then after...
That's quite a range from Robert Johnson to Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, well, it started the other way around. I was trying to play this song by Joni Mitchell, and it was in open D.
Yeah.
And then I heard Robert Johnson, I was like, that sounds like my tuning that I got on this guitar now.
Yeah.
And then everything made sense, and Elmore James and all that.
Sure.
And then I think the approach and just the musical versatility of Ry Cooder is kind of when everything and it's also very percussive and stuff. Jim Keltner on the drums, and it was a big influence for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What about some of the New Orleans cats that are playing slide, like John Mooney?
Yeah.
You play with John much? Or?
Yeah, from time to time, yeah. We had a period when we played a lot more. I just ran into him in Kansas. We played. When I was a kid, he used to play at Madigan's.
Oh, yeah.
And we would go there, he played solo, and it's great. Just a bunch of college kids, and,